Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And today I'm going to be in Maccabees, First Maccabees 1. I'm going to go through some of this chapter, some of this chapter, and through the Spirit, I'll do it in segments because it's a long chapter. And this is going in on the Maccabees, First Maccabees 1 and 1. So, a lot of our people, they don't understand that, this is a Hellenization period. And basically what Hellenization goes into in layman's terms means that, this is when our people, one of the times in history, in the Greco-Roman captivity, at the beginning of the Greco-Roman captivity, we basically fell away from our laws, we forsake Yahweh. And it was part of the work was because we were being oppressed by the Greeks. Okay, so let's this is in turn this is making us Gentiles, right? Which means foreigner or stranger. Which when you're not in the laws, the statutes, you forget who you are as a people. You basically become a Gentile, and this is why when they took the Maccabees out of while they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible, Christian Protestants, because it name drops Edomites, and we'll read about it right now, and it names drops them, so they couldn't have this in the scripture in the book now. That's why they took out the Apocrypha, and they don't claim that it's scripture. But let's start at verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, as in Alexander the Great, and the Macedonian who came out of the land of Chetam had smitten Darius of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Okay, so when you go into the secular history, we know that Alexander the Greek, he conquered the Persians and the Medes, right? And he conquered King Darius. So, this is why we know that this is the truth. This is lining up with secular history. Verse 2, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, right? Because Alexander the Great, he was known as a conqueror of the ancient world, and he did it in a very quick manner. All right. It says, and he went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. Right, meaning his mind, meaning his pride, which is a characteristic of the Edomites. Right, they have a pride. Is one of their characteristics. They have the most prideful nation on the planet Earth. Right, the Edomites. It says right here in Obadiah 1 and 3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. And this is all clues to show us who it's talking about was the so-called white man, the Edomite, because he's the one whose habitation was high, even in Petra, right? He lived in the mountains of Caucasus, Russia, and then in Petra. So his habitation has always been high. That's why he has his skyscrapers and whatnot. He exalts himself as the eagle. The Greeks, the Romans, the American, all of their national bird, their national symbol was the eagle. All right? And it shows the pride of the heart has deceived thee, right? Because the so-called white man, he's the prideful nation on the planet Earth. He's so prideful, he made himself, he set himself up as God, as the Most High. Right? You can read about that in Second Thessalonians. Okay, so First Maccabees 1 and 3 and 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. All right, and so he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over the countries. Why? Because we got to remember, this is also his blessing. The so-called white man, Esau, his blessing is the sword, right? That's why his military is right now, the most powerful military on the earth. All right, verse 5. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. All right, and one of the reasons why we call him Alexander the Freak is because he was bisexual. He had relationships with men and women, and even Edomite scholars and historians will document and tell you that. Okay, there's a show on Netflix regarding Alexander the Great. And the very first, 5 minutes of the documentary, it shows him kissing a dude in a lake. So it's no secret Alexander the Great was actually a bisexual, gay man, and he also took on men and women. Right. Verse 8, and his servants bare rule every one in his place, and after his death they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right. So when you go into these successors after Alexander died, they call it the Diadochi. Okay. And the Diadochi, the word means successor in Greek. So that word Diadochi, but that's what it's called, known as the Diadochi, which the Diadochi were literally the successors of Alexander the Greek, and they're referred to sometimes as his four generals. You had Ptolemy, Antigonus, Cassander, and Seleucus were his main successors, his main Diadochi. And they all ruled over different realms. All right, in the ancient world. And it says here, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So what it is when the so-called white man, took over the planet Earth, you have to understand evils were multiplied in the earth. It's no coincidence because he's the wicked, right? Malachi 1 and 4 tells you he's the wicked. Verse 10, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days, so that there you go, Antiochus Epiphanes, he was ruling over. He was one of the rulers. It says in 11, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant or an agreement with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them we have had much sorrow. So you had a bunch of, basically the 2/3, right? The wicked men of Israel who were, they were down to make a covenant, make an agreement with the heathen, right? Including leaving our laws behind, and really exactly what it says, making a covenant or an agreement with the heathen. There's nothing new under the sun. You have that happening today. You have Jake, out here, basically living like a heathen, right? Verse 12. So this device pleased them well, meaning conforming to the ways of the heathen, right? Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward therein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Right, so that's the thing about Esau. He always requires licenses, right? And our people were wicked, so they were like they were, enabling him to rule over them, and they were accepting licenses to do things like like nowadays. You need a license to get married. You need a license to go fishing. If you're going to sell things, you need a sales license. If you're going to sell alcohol, you need an alcohol sales license. Things like that, right? A marriage license. Verse 14, whereupon they built a place for exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. Right, so the gymnasium, it literally means, when you break that word gymnasium down, it means exercising naked, all right? And that's how they used to do it. And really, when you go to these gyms nowadays, hey man, you look around and these people a lot of them are pretty much naked. The women wearing clothes that's not really covering up anything. And even some of the men, So basically nothing new under the sun. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Just like our people right now, right? Our people are really basically heathen. 2/3 of them are going to remain heathen, right? Because they just basically do anything the heathen does. Anything goes. If the heathen doing it, they're going to do it, you see? Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion over two realms. Right, and that's the spirit of Esau Edom. He's never content with ruling in his own nation. He wants to go dominate other nations and conquer, and he wants more than his own realm. He prefers multiple realms because he's the greedy, he's the wicked, right? Verse 17, wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy. And he made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt, but Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Right, and Ptolemy was an Edomite also, because Ptolemy was one of the kings that I just read that was part of the Diadochi, the successors to Alexander the Greek. Okay, it says thus, verse 19. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof. So this is that spirit of that Edomite, that so-called white man. He doesn't have no respect, right? He entered proudly into the sanctuary, right, into the temple. He came up against the Israelites, right? And he comes up against, when he deals with nations, he's proud. He'll go into any nation he feels like it, and he'll try and push his policies and his laws and rules on other nations. And that's a big reason why the people, the nations today hate the whore that rides the beast, right? In verse 22, and the table of the showbread and the pouring vessels and the vials and the censers of gold and the veil and the crowns and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. See, so he go in and just take over, with his sword, with his blessing of the sword, with his arrogance, his pride, Verse 23, he took the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Right. And matter of fact, the word Catholic, the Mass, it means basically universal massacre, because that word mass, it goes back to massacre, But Catholicism actually goes back to universal, right, which means all one. Verse 25. Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were, so that the princes and the elders mourned. The virgins and the young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. And then, right, so our people, were mourning, because why? Because this Edomite was taking over, oppressing, getting ready to rule over us, And it says the beauty of woman was changed. Just look at it now. Same thing nowadays. The beauty of women is changed. You have sometimes you have an attractive woman, but she's got a mouth like she cusses like a sailor, she's gay. She's got short hair. She's got like a dude's hairdo. Things like that. This is how the beauty of our women was changed. When the wicked rule, hey, the women, they got a different vibration. They had a different attitude about them, right? Verse 27. It's not a good one. Verse 27. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. Right. So basically, he's saying all our people were stressed out because of the heathen. The land also was moved for an inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And does that sound familiar? Our people are covered with confusion because of the so-called white man, because of the Edomite, right? Because of his policies, because of the way he teaches our women and men to the mindset that they have, teaches them women that they're above, they're equal to a man, that they can do the same things a man can do. They even teaches them that they can be a man if they want to have become a transgender, and likewise for the men. Well, that's all confusion, all right? And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude, all right? So that's the other thing. Now he's starting to put taxes on our people, right? On the Israelites. Usury, taxes, right? And verse 30, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much of the people of Israel. And that's his MO. All right, that's what he did with fast forward to today. He did that with his jump shot, right? He's speaking peaceable words in the beginning, right? Telling you, hey, this is going to help you. This is going to protect you. You're gonna be okay during the pandemic, because he was speaking peaceable words, but it was deceit. At the end of the day, now all these people having heart attacks, strokes, death, having blood clots, you name it. People are going through this of Israel. And it's because they gave him credence, right? And at first he was over there talking like, hey, this is all, I'm here for you. We're going to give it to you, so-called. Or he didn't say so-called. He said, we're going to give it to you blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans first, because we've overlooked you in the past, right? And that's his way. Crafty, deceivable, peaceful, soft words, right? But then he turns around and look at our people. Look how many people died from that vaccination. All right. So and then that's what he is. He's basically a deceitful speaker. You give this so-called white man credence, you start to give him credit, you can't trust him, right? Remember, it tells you that in Sirach, was it 10 and 12? Wow, the phone's working all slow, but it tells you in the book of Sirach, trust not thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close out on that. Lord's will, I'm going to do the other half tomorrow, or possibly later tonight. So, want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekal Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, one I acknowledge Allah Akyam, pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the elect. May you endure to the end.